Hello and welcome to this Memorial Day where we remember the fallen who have fought the wars representing us. And it's a solemn day. Despite the celebratory aspect of this particular day, it is actually really a solemn occasion. So here we are in week 3 of PSY200. And the both of you are doing really great in this class, so I'm really happy about that. Again, we're aligned here, Chapter 3, Week 3, and Chapter 3 is going to go into the physiological influences on psychology. So as medicine was developing, it began to have an influence on the thinking that was going on in the world of psychology. Now, the experimental component, looking at primarily areas around the senses, reaction times, how different light, sounds, touch, and affect us and whatnot, that was going on in the early experimental psychology history, happened a lot in Germany. And in the first quiz question, I'm asking you, why Germany? I talk about this in the course book, but why Germany? What's it about the people and culture about Germany at that time that really brought on this openness to studying psychology in an experimental way? So that's the question number 1. Question number 2 is, how did we use methodology to examine and map the brain back then? I want you to describe all of this. Rather lengthy question to answer, a lengthy answer to this question to get to the bottom of that. And then the discussion actually has to do with the little piece that I kind of stuck in there when I was talking about the German culture, about what's happening particularly in some areas of the country right now where the government or individuals, there's influence on what people are able and willing to say in the classroom. Now, as an academic, I've always enjoyed a vast degree of freedom, what we call academic freedom, in presenting ideas in my class. I present ideas that are evidence-based, and I make it clear that they're evidence-based. And when I talk about things that are my viewpoints, that may be somewhat evidence-based, but the conclusions that I've come to, I will talk about those and make sure people understand that that's a different kind of information. And then, of course, we can speculate, and sometimes we can play devil's advocate and ask very, very bizarre questions, very serious questions, maybe even examining questions that some of us might find difficult to deal with, difficult to understand, difficult to even discuss. And one of the joys of being able to do that in a classroom really has to do with the exploration of ideas, whether we like or not like those ideas, in order to encourage critical thinking. So the discussion is really, what do you think about challenging topics that maybe didn't come up in your classrooms, maybe they should have, or how did people handle them? Kind of some storytelling about how do you think these topics should be handled? And I'm going to focus for now on colleges. When we start talking about little kids, it gets into developmental appropriateness. It gets into the fact that the people receiving information are not adults, therefore they don't have the same kind of rights and stuff like that. So to kind of clarify that, and certainly the college classroom is a point of concern with many individuals in terms of what happens and what gets discussed in the classroom. I'd like to have a little discussion with that. And the point being, this idea, and I'm going to use the word specifically to this context, the conservative viewpoint of what should and should not be discussed in class is very different from that early world in Germany that produced experimental psychs. So we're looking at a contrast, America today in some instances, and therefore what was going on in Germany. Now, notwithstanding, I have never encountered a real challenge to my academic freedom. I did receive a letter at one time, we all did, when then President Trump dictated that college professors cannot talk about systemic racism. Without getting into that topic at all, first, there was a response from the university system. There was a response from the community college system here in Maine that, first, we don't agree with that. Second, the President of the United States, no matter who they are, does not have the authority to dictate that. And to tell you the truth, the day that I found that out, I changed all my topics that day to, you guessed it, we all talked about systemic racism and had really great discussions about it. Really very important thing to talk about. So that's the quiz and the discussion looking at the physiological impacts on the developing world of psychology. So it is beautiful out. Nice long weekend here. Heading into the week, I think it's going to be good all week. And so have a good week. Take care, and I will see you next time.